Welcome to GCE 204, Lecture 2, Factors Affecting Human Learning. Introduction. In this lecture, we shall be discussing various determinants of learning to include the various factors that can affect learning. In the learning environment, there are three variables, namely the learner, the teacher, and environment. The various types of learning and the three basic stages of learning shall also be discussed. Objectives. At the end of this lecture, learners should be able to 1. Discuss the various stages of learning. 2. What are the factors resident in the learner that can affect his or her learning process? 3. Explain with examples the various types of learning. 4. Explain the three basic stages of learning. Factors affecting learning. These are various factors that determine the extent to which one learns and how effective the learning could be. They can also be referred to as basic requirements for effective learning. In the learning environment, there are three variables involved: the learner, the teacher, and the environment. The learner occupies an important place in teaching and learning because he is the one whose behavior must change to enable him live well in a society and with others. The teacher as an individual personality is an important element in the learning environment. One of the factors that affects the efficiency of learning is the environment in which learning takes place. The environment includes the learner's home, school, and the entire society. Malnutrition interferes with learning and physical growth. The learner's self-worth and personality have been found to affect learning. Learning is directly dependent on maturation. No learning can take place unless the individual is matured enough to learn. Some children can learn better at earlier age, while others take more time to learn the same content. These determinants are mainly categorized into two. These are 1. Internal or organismic factors. 2. External factors or organismic factors affecting learning. The most important tool for learning is the intelligence. It is one of the organismic factors affecting learning. Our intelligence is what we inherit from our parents at the time of our conception. At the time of our conception, our parents donate to us 23 chromosomes each, making a total of 46 chromosomes, which are fundamental to our initial existence as human beings. Genes. This refers to the units of hereditary transmission that determine the traits that make each individual unique. Contained in these genes are these components: genotype and phenotype. These types take 2. This helps to clarify the nature of hereditary transmission. Genotype refers to the genetic makeup of the individual, which, because of recessive traits, may differ from the person's physical appearance. Included in the genotype is the determination of blood combination inherited from the parents, that is, AA, AS, SS, and intelligence. One of the most important factors determining learning is intelligence. It has no concise definition, but it is generally referred to as a way whereby reasonable decisions are taken. The parents, through the genes donated at conception, determine the level of intelligence. The intelligence of both parents determines the rate of intelligence of the child. According to the theory of intellectual regression, when both parents are highly intelligent, the children will be intelligent too, but not more than the parent. But when one of the parents is more intelligent than the other, there is the possibility of the children being more intelligent than one of the parents. What one really needs is a normal intelligence to function well in everyday life, while such intelligence must be exposed to stimulating environment. For example, if the battery of a car is not charged when necessary, it will not work or move the car away from the same spot. Whatever genetic factors that the learner has inherited at conception become very crucial in the rate of learning of the child. What do we really mean by intelligence? Opinion differs on the definition of intelligence. While Binet sees intelligence as a measure of performance on many kinds of tests, Thurman sees it as ability we carry on abstract thinking. Even such a shallow definition of intelligence as what intelligence tests measure was put forward by Boring. Measurements of human intelligence. Alfred Binet has given a formula for measuring an individual's level of intelligence using intelligence tests devised by him. The formula runs thus: IQ equals to MA over CA times 100 over 1, where IQ equals to intelligence quotient, MA equals to mental age, CA equals to chronological age. Thus, the IQ of a child who is 10 years old, chronologically, who can successfully perform an intelligence test meant for people of the mental age of 15 would be calculated thus: 15 over 10 times 100 over 1 equals to 150. This means that this child has an IQ level of 150, which according to Sperling, 1979, qualifies him to be regarded as gifted child. If, on the other hand, another child of the same 6 chronological years of age can only perform no more than the intelligence test meant for 10-year-old, this would be calculated as 6 over 10 times 100 over 1 equals to 60. This means that the child qualifies to be classified as a moron according to Sperling, 1979. Personality and human learning. Human beings are thinking and reasoning being referred to as Homo sapiens. Still, human differs from individuals to individuals. This difference from one person to the other has been regarded as arising from individual personality makeup. According to Elm, 1974, the personality of an individual refers to it as the non-arithmetic total of all characteristics which gives him his individuality and distinguishes him as a person identifiably different from all other persons. Just as everyone's handwriting differs from everyone else, so does his personality. She further described personality as the combination of all the traits, sentiments, aptitudes, prejudice, emotions, attitudes, moods, self-perceptions, abilities, interests, skills, recollections, desires, ambitions, and manners which make up the individual. In other words, individual's personality is the sum of all people's characteristics and attitudes that make them the person they are and not just another person. Self-concepts and human learning. Self-concepts is an aspect of human personality which is concerned with the way an individual perceives his or herself. It is a sort of self-perception which can be either high, positive, or low, negative. Our self-concept level is said to be high or positive if we perceive ourselves, our capabilities, abilities, and potentialities very favorably. This means that individuals have a very favorable opinion about him or herself. It is a case of low self-concept If we perceive ourselves negatively as inferior and unable to perform in terms of our capabilities, abilities, and potentialities, research studies have found that people with high or positive self-concept perform better in learning tasks than people with low or negative self-concept. The willpower and human learning. Willpower is another part of an individual personality makeup. The willpower provides the much-needed determination to continue with whatever people have decided to do in spite of all odds till individuals achieve the desired success. Willpower can be either strong or weak. A strong willpower refers to willpower that does not shake or waver in the face of difficulties in the pursuit of a desired target. The motto for such a strong-willed person is forward ever, backward never. A person with weak willpower lacks the tenacity and determination to continue in spite of all hazards and odds till the desired goal is reached. A person with weak willpower is more likely to break his promises and decisions any moment, unlike the person with strong willpower who sticks stubbornly to a promise or decision taken with a sense of commitment and devotion. Sensory perceptual modalities and human learning. Individuals' various sensory modalities are the instruments by which people perceive the various stimuli around them. The quality and quantity of our learning would in part depend on how effective and efficient our various perceptual modalities are. These 5 sensory modalities are eyes for visual perception, ears for auditory perception, nose for olfactory perception, tongue for gustatory perception, and the fingers and body for tactile perception. Through these modalities, people become aware of various stimuli around them through a mental process referred to as perception. Research studies and observations have shown that combined use of 2 or more of these sensory modalities produces better quality of learning than would be the case where only one modality is used. It is therefore obvious that faulty sensory modalities will lead to poor sensory perception and eventual poor learning. Human learning and maturation. When we were discussing the role of intelligence in human learning, we saw that human intelligence is one of the hereditary traits which affects human learning. Psychologists have found that hereditary traits are unfolded in a given individual through what is variously referred to as either maturation or functional maturity, or by others as functional readiness. Okoye, 1981. Ullox has asserted that maturation is the raw material for learning and behavioral patterning. It is also referred to as the teachable moment when the individual is really ready and willing to learn. Okoye, 1981. Human learning and attitude. Okoye, 1983, has cited Alport's 1935 definition of attitude as a mental or neural state of readiness organized through experience, exerting a directive or dynamic influence upon the individual's response to all objects and situations with which it is related. In simple, straightforward explanation, attitudes can be regarded as the mental predisposition arising from a previous experimental exposure. Attitudes shape the individual towards a particular line of action and color our perception of situations to which our attitudes are directed. For example, our attitudes can color relatively simple tasks as very difficult tasks and vice versa. This attitudinal coloration will eventually shape individual perceiver's assessment of the difficulty or otherwise of the perceived task. Such a colored perception will no doubt affect the way and manner this individual perceiver will react to the task or any other object, stimulus being perceived. Katz, 1960, has observed that attitudes satisfy 4 basic human needs. These needs, he argued, are satisfied through 4 basic functions being performed by attitudes. These functions are associated with 1. Helping the individual understand the environment meaningfully. 2. Helping the individual achieve some adjunctive and utilitarian needs peculiar to the individual. 3. Helping the individual boost and maintain his or her ego and self-concept at high level. And finally, 4. Helping the individual to achieve, consciously or unconsciously, some satisfactory level of self-identity, leading to what Oskamp 1977 has referred to as the function of attitude in achieving value expression. Locus of control and human learning. This is a personality trait which determines whether an individual is internally oriented or externally oriented in tracing the source of the influence on behavior. Bandura, 1977a, selected personal and external control as 2 of his judgmental criteria. Work in this area has been most revealing. External locus of control. This refers to a type of locus of control, situation in which an individual attributes his or her behavioral outcomes to external significant forces. These external forces may be spiritual beings like God, or the devil, or the spirits of dead ancestors, or other spirits, or they may refer to luck, good or bad luck, or to unidentifiable forces. Thus, a person who is external in locus of control usually blames significant others for his or her failure to achieve, and so consciously or unconsciously claims a sort of psychological alibi as responsible for his or her failures or non-achievements. On the other hand, the person who is externally oriented in locus of control usually maintains that his or her success and achievement should not be attributed to his or her efforts, but to either sheer luck or to divine intervention. Obviously, to assume extreme positions in both loci stands will make the individual not recognize his or her strengths and shortcomings. Non-recognition of this will make him or her develop a sort of extreme resignative stand to life that may eventually negate hard work and individual effort and struggles in order to achieve. If this trend is not arrested, it may lead an individual into developing a sort of predestinate attitude to life. The society and psychological effect on human learning. Both the home and the school are rooted in the society. The society influences the quantity and quality of learning that goes on there. We have seen above how the physical components of the society can do this. The society can also provide necessary psychological climate and atmosphere for effective human learning and development of creative innovativeness and ingenuity. For example, a society where the citizens enjoy peace, harmony, and unity will facilitate human learning better than a society where the citizens live cat and dog lives. This is because for effective interaction of ideas and thoughts, the citizens need peace, unity, harmony, and tranquility that will nurture necessary dynamic interaction that will generate effective and creative learning. Besides, superstitious belief systems of any society will eat deep into the belief system and attitudes of the citizens, thereby affecting the citizens' learning performance. It is well known that superstitious beliefs can negate pupils' absorption of scientific ideas and findings. Akin to this is the concept of culturally disadvantaged areas, where cultural norms, taboos, and censorship create mental blocks in the citizens, leading to poor and ineffective learning. Finally, a society's attitude towards education will affect the way and manner as citizens study and learn. Societies that have developed negative attitudes to academic pursuits will transfer such attitudes to their citizens, leading to academic disinterestedness. Innovativeness, creativity, and high-quality learning can be developed in the society if the citizens who show academic excellence are encouraged and rewarded through offer of prizes, scholarships, and bonuses, unlike a society where such excellence is ignored and unrecognized. Activity. This refers to actively involving a child in the learning process. The more active the pupils are, the faster they learn. However, the activities should be appropriate to the age and experience of the children. Making use of practice and repetition is a way of involving learners in school activities. The peer group also affects the learning rate of the children. When they are among their colleagues, they learn better. But while in the midst of adults, they become fearful and thus would not learn well. The bringing together of children from low socio-economic status with those from high economic status improves learning by the children. Factors resident in the teacher. Teacher's personality. The teacher's personality is an important element in the success and failure of the learner. The way in which his personality interacts with the personalities of the students being taught helps to determine the kind of behavior which emerges from the learning situation. The teacher's personality is composite of his physical appearance, his mental capacity, his emotional behavior, and his attitudes. Instructional factors. Availability of learning materials such as well-equipped libraries, textbooks, audio-visual materials, etc. The curriculum strategies, the teacher's methodology of teaching, and mastery of subject matter are instructional factors that affect learning in school. Factors resident in the environment. Family or socioeconomic background. The impact of mother, father, other children, housemates, uncles and aunties on the learning of the child is enormous. Certain unpleasant events in the family, which are stored in the memory of the child throughout life, could affect the child's learning process. Socioeconomic factors refer to the level of education of the parents, where they reside, urban or rural, etc. Physical environment. Unusual traumatic events such as earthquake, thunderstorms, flood, etc. may affect the learning of the child in life. Whether at home or in school, the learning conditions must be favorable and adequate if teaching is to produce the desired results. Summary. It is imperative that those who engage in imparting knowledge learn and understand psychology of learning. This is because the more they understand the fundamental principles of learning, the more efficiently they become in guiding classroom teaching and learning. End of lecture 2. Thanks for listening.